Now, from the WCCO Live Desk, you're watching CBS News Minnesota.
Hello, I'm Maria Lizignoli. Thank you for joining us at the Live Desk. Today, officials gave an update on the wildfires still burning up north. At noon today, new restrictions kicked in for parts of northeastern Minnesota. Campfires and recreational fires are banned in Cook, Koochiching, Lake, and northern St. Louis counties and parts of Itasca County. Here's an update from that news conference.
We're at about 63,000 acres in the United States and an additional 8,400 acres in Canada at this time. There's about a total of 780 personnel on the fires, and we have 3 new fire starts were detected yesterday, with firefighters responding to all new starts. The public is being asked to support firefighters and public safety by adhering to evacuations, adhering to closures, and fire restrictions. We really are expressing our need for people to refrain from flying drones and aircraft in those areas. Fires reported on today may change as some fires have merged and have been in patrol status.
As I mentioned on Friday, the Southern Area Team 1 took command control of 15 fires across the landscape. During that time, we identified resource needs, so we started requesting, pushing orders for those resources, crews, engines, aviation assets, so that continues. The fires to the west are some of the smaller fires, smaller in acreage, still very important. We're continuing with mop up and prep along those lines. Most of the lines are in around some of the larger fires over there, and we're continuing to build depth along the perimeter of those fires with mop up and patrol, utilizing water, utilizing aviation when needed. Moving across the landscape, we're looking at the Echo Corridor, the Echo Trail Corridor. We have large fires across the landscape, mostly in the wilderness, but they are trying to come south to Echo Trail. So our primary focus is in that area due to structures. There's a lot of structure assessment and structure protection. We're continuing to do that in those areas south of the Echo Trail Corridor and structures that are immediate within that Echo Trail Corridor. That work is ongoing and continuing. It's a lot of long hours trying to locate structures, one, assess them, and then bring in the proper equipment to make those structures safe and secure. That work's going to continue. We're also prepping along the Echo Trail to have that as our control line to help stop the spread of this fire. Our priority mission is to keep that fire north of Echo Trail. We do have one slop over that came a little south of Echo Trail on the initial push with those fires. We do have line around that slop over south of Echo Trail, and we're continuing to put the needed supplies, hose lays, pumps, crews in there, monitoring, making sure that fire's staying in place. Along with that, there's just a lot of structures within the area. We're methodically starting from Echo Trail and working our way south towards the higher populated communities. We do have a lot of aviation assets that are out looking for new initial starts, which we did pick up 3 starts yesterday. Crews were very diligent about getting on those and keeping those at a small footprint. With those fires, we're continuing as well to monitor those within our response area. We do have a ton of resources in here, and we'll continue to get a lot of resources in here. So I ask, if you're out in the communities and you see those firefighters, ask those questions. They have a lot of valuable information that may be beneficial to you. I want to talk a little bit about the evacuations. I know there's a large area where folks have already been evacuated. We do have communities and housing that is in areas that are in the ready and set. I ask that you start planning now. Think about what you might need to take, how you're going to leave, where you're going to go. Don't wait until you're in an evacuation to make those decisions. That's very important. We'll speed up that evacuation process. And also we're looking at really critical infrastructure which could be impacted, and that is the hydro dam and the power supply there. We're going to continue to monitor. We're doing prep along that, working closely with the power companies.
Just to elaborate a little bit beyond the fire situation we currently have around the Ely and Cook and Crane Lake area, I'll shift my focus to the little knife fire that's currently burning northeast of the Gunflint. That fire we received from Canada. It's approximately around 55 to 6,000 acres. As of yesterday morning, our National Incident Management Organization, NEMO team, took command of that fire situation. We're working diligently as a forest with that NEMO team, along with our international partners and county resources, to do some strategic planning to be able to really get a foothold on what we have going on in that particular area. Of note, we have daily coordination calls with our international partners starting at 10 o'clock in the morning, and we coordinate efforts and prioritize our assets to help reduce the fire threat in that particular area. As talked about, we're under some good fire weather, what I'd call it, for the next few days. Part of my position is to work with the National Incident Management teams, the Southern Area team, and the forest to ensure that we have initial attack assets available for any new starts. We've had quite a few lightning strikes in the last 48 to 72 hours. In conjunction with both teams and the forest, we're doing everything we can to ensure that we're on top of any new starts. We do expect a challenging day, but I have full confidence with the amount of resources we have from the city, county, state, federal, international partners that we'll jump on them and do everything we can to try to keep that footprint as small as possible. Mother Nature's not done with us yet. And I like to say that due to the lightning activity. So we are prepared if she throws a bunch more lightning at us, and we'll do everything we can in order to minimize the impact to the public and our firefighters.
Really, I want to say thank you to all the firefighters and all the great work that they're doing out on the fire line, whether that's here in Ely, over in the Cook area, or in the Grand Marais area as they're in the Boundary Waters. The firefighters are really the ones that are doing all the great work. We did bring in some additional support. That includes the Complex Incident Management Team, Southern Area CIMT-1, and we have the National Incident Management Organization. All of those are under a unified command between the state DNR and the Forest Service. They have taken command of their delegated fires and are helping to support our firefighters be successful out on the ground. Updates for the Boundary Waters closure. Closure is still in place for the entire Boundary Waters. We have canceled permits through Friday, and at this time we are assessing opportunities to reduce the closure in those areas that make the most sense. Right now we don't have a timing of exactly what that'll look like or when that will occur, but that is something that we're working on presently, knowing that those cancelizations through Friday sort of give us an initial clock of when we might try to make a new decision going into this next weekend.
As of noon today, Monday, DNR has elevated the burning restrictions within Cook, Lake, North St. Louis, Koochiching counties, as well as a small portion of Itasca County to what we call our level 4 burning restrictions. Some of the changes that take place at level 4 is no campfires are allowed, and that includes on private property. It's kind of a quintessential Minnesota thing in the summertime to be hanging out around a campfire. Given the conditions, the resources that are deployed, and the conditions going forward, in order to protect life and property and to retain those firefighting assets where they are, we need to be able to control the controllables and limit the number of new starts that we have some control over. Obviously, we heard others talk about the lightning that has come through and new starts that come from that. Those we can't control, but these other, the reason for these burning restrictions are to control some of these other ones. So again, the big one is no campfires. Only gas or propane stoves can be used at campsites and or in the backcountry. So again, no campfires. And the only place that charcoal fires would be allowed would be in a device that's designed for charcoal fires, primarily, a grill or something similar, and it has to be associated with an occupied home, cabin, or resort. So those are those primary restrictions. In addition, there are some restrictions as it relates to acetylene torches and welding and flame-producing equipment is prohibited in the vicinity of combustible vegetation. And it was, just a reminder, it was, I believe, present at burning restriction level 3, but no fireworks are allowed outside of a municipality. That's a continuation, but just to reiterate that would be another potential human source. Any additional information that you would like to find, the DNR burning restrictions website will have maps associated that lay out the different restrictions for where a person lives or recreates to find out what those restrictions are.
We did have storms develop mainly west and northwest of our fires of the July lightning incident. As they developed, they produced a few more lightning strikes, and then as they moved towards the arrowhead of Minnesota, it was quite a few lightning strikes. And totally over the fire, about 60 lightning strikes. And if you include the arrowhead of Minnesota and portions of southern Ontario, we are on the order of about 600. So as you guys know, it only takes about one lightning strike to start a fire. So definitely we're monitoring where these things have happened, and fortunately we're in a different place than what we were a week and a half ago. Not only did we have our first rain about a half an inch to over an inch over the July lightning incident, but even with our lightning that occurred last night, rainfall totals were about a quarter to a half an inch. Those higher amounts were over the eastern parts of the fire, mainly in the Fernberg area, so a little bit of rain fell with that. As we definitely noticed today, it was a change day. We have the wind to deal with. We have not had that wind over the last week and a half, but we have had a little bit of moisture. So beneficial moisture, but we increased the wind. Winds today primarily out of a westerly direction, and those have been on the order of 22 to 35 miles an hour. The strongest winds right now are over Cook. Those winds will continue through the daytime hours. Expect them to diminish only slightly overnight tonight and ramp back up tomorrow. The winds tomorrow are going to be out of the north-northwest, as we do have a secondary cold front coming through. Not only is that secondary cold front going to bring that wind shift for winds out of the north-northwest, but we will also have a little bit of drizzle. So not dry with this wind, but a little bit of moisture again. So that's what we're expecting tomorrow. Also cooler conditions for that Tuesday. Wednesday, high pressure builds overhead. It is our dry day, but much lighter winds. So we have winds today, tomorrow, and then dry high pressure for Wednesday. As we move on past Wednesday, additional showers and thunderstorms are possible. Right now they're pretty low chances, but we're going to continue to revise that and talk to the incident management team about those chances, wind directions, wind speeds, so that they can make the appropriate decisions on where to put people, how to keep folks safe, and to successfully manage the fire. Just want to note that we're going to be back into the 80s all the way through like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That is above normal temperatures for this area, and we have a lot of fire weather season left. Normally high temperatures this time of year are in the upper 70s, and we're kind of peaking at our hottest time of the year, all the way now through August 15th. So a lot of heat still, a lot of severe or showers and thunderstorms activity, more of that lightning potential, and also, like I said, lots of fire season still ahead.
The good news is a lot of the smoke, the massive amount of smoke that these fires generated about a week ago is finally starting to clear out. The last little bit of it been sitting over Wisconsin pretty heavily, and it's just now starting to clear out as these storms come through and this front comes through, and we're expecting significantly improved conditions. With the rain we had a few days ago, as well as what occurred overnight, generally we're not seeing a lot of smoke being generated from these fires, nor in Canada at this time. However, we do know these fires are going to be a long-term event, and so there is a short reprieve we're expecting to see from air quality over the next few days. However, our uncertainty is, right, we have a lot more wind picking up. We haven't had rain in all locations. If there's any new ignitions that do get going, there's always a potential for that to change, and so we're watching those conditions very closely. We're in close coordination with a lot of the state air pollution control agencies that are monitoring smoke and making sure we're coordinating our forecasts. But at this point, we're looking at some better days, especially up in Minnesota. And we had a public meeting last night that was really excellent. There were a lot of folks who showed up. And one of the messages we mentioned there is, now is the time to get ready if there is more smoke coming in the future. And one of the groups that was there last night, the Eli Community Response, that are at the State Theater in Ely, they have N95 masks, they have a bunch of filters and box fans where people can create their own way to clean air in their home. And so I encourage people to check that out, because there's a lot of folks in the community who fall in those categories that are particularly at risk for smoke. And just to remind people who those are, young, elderly, people with pre-existing conditions, pregnant women are all susceptible to smoke, and there's likely a lot of people out in the community that are suffering. And so this is a great opportunity to kind of take those mitigations.